Hello, everybody, and welcome to Take Your Time, a Persona podcast where we play through Persona 3 Reload in real time, along with the in-game calendar dates. My name is Tom Marks, joined, as always, by the enigmatic Jonathon Dornbush.
Ooh, how exciting. Thank you, Tom. It's wonderful to be here with you. This is, of course, my normal voice, because I'm so enigmatic. I'm like 2 coffees in. Let's go.
That's your, Halloween voice.
Hello. Yes. Yeah. This episode will be coming out for the spooky season, even though we're not covering the spooky day itself. Yeah.
Yeah. I was disappointed that there's not more spooky stuff happening around town, to be honest, but there you go.
There's only so much time to focus on that when the world is ending every month, maybe.
It's true. We have a lovely show. This is, of course, if you were listening in not real time, then nothing has changed. But Jonathon and I are back after a little bit of a break, a little bit of an away time, and we are jumping right in to October 20th through the 26th, which is just a big week of free time, although we can dig into some of the stuff. I did Tartarus this week. Also, just a quick note for next week, I might as well say this at the top of the show too. Next week would be 7 days leading up to the full moon, and then the full moon would be the following week. But rather than doing an entire another week of free time, next week we are going to include an 8th day, and that will be the full moon day. So just that heads up now. Next week we are going to be talking about the full moon, and then we'll stop. I think there's probably a pause right after it or something where you can save, and then we'll stop there.
Yeah, without spoiling it, you'll be able to save shortly after the next day, so don't feel too bad if you're off calendar.
This is a thing I asked Jonathon when we were deciding whether to do this, because sometimes these games will just say, hey, you did a thing? A week has passed.
Yeah, that happened the beginning of the game. That's what kind of threw us to start this whole calendar system was, we just lose a week in our coma. Yep. So we, just had to go through. But hey, it happens. It's fine. Whatever, I think, makes the more interesting discussion week for week. So
Indeed. Yeah. But before we get to that, and before we get to the discussion of this week, we do want to do our confidant call out, thanking everybody over at patreon.com/takeyourtime for supporting the show. We really, really do appreciate it, especially the folk at our Palace Ruler tier, who we'd like to give a special shout out, as we do every week. And those folk are Akechi is a Jelly Bean, Astral Clock Tower, Brody S., Cameron C., Claudia R., Dallas, Damon, Dan F., Danimal Lover 01, Default Titus, Dexter, I Kill Gods for Fun, Caitlin E., Keegan H., Metaphor Refantasio out now, which we'll talk about also, Michael V., Philip S., Programmer Sid, Sam K., Sarah M., Shade, and Willy Wang Wang. Thank you all of those people. If you'd like to join the Patreon, you can get the show ad-free, the show a day early, bonus episodes, multiple a month. We are going to be posting our episode, highly requested as far as I can tell, discussing Metaphor Refantasio in this week, probably shortly-ish after, within a couple days of this episode coming out. And to remind folk, I think it looks like we're going to be in the 30-ish hour range of that game when we talk about it. So we're going to be deep enough. I'm not going to say anything specific right now, but we'll talk about it at the beginning of that bonus episode. We wanted to dive into not necessarily story spoilers, but really get a full sense of the game so we can really dig into that rather than just say, here's our initial impressions based on the first dungeon or whatever. So that's roughly where we're going to be. If you are playing the third major city-ish is sort of what I'll say. And I won't go into any more detail than that, but we will give spoiler warnings on the actual bonus episode. So if you want to hear our thoughts on that game, head over to patreon.com/takeyourtime. Finally, we've got our pop quiz from last week. And Jonathon, it was a exam-themed one. I asked.
You love your exams.
I do. I love my pop quiz exams. Or exam prop quizzes. Anyway, moving on. I asked, how did Aigis do on her exams? And as a follow-up, what were her best subjects? Which is a thing that you can discuss with her. My assumption going into this was that she would ace them because she's a robot. but she is also a robot with a memory that's 10 years out of date. So, Jonathan, what did the people think?
I'm going to probably butcher names over on YouTube, but Tromedlove or Tromedlove or Tromedlove, I'm fine, 87. The caffeine's really hitting right now. Said, I would assume that Aigis aced math and science and flunked language and history or something along those lines, but she would have aced a class about taking care of good boys and dog walking.
That is true, canonically.
Yes. Dexter also replied and said, Aigis fake best subjects, artificial intelligence, and math, which I think, did she do well in math? I forget.
Mostly, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, they also said they read the real answers in there but couldn't remember something about battle tactics and mechanical engineering. Which I think might be a different conversation, maybe.
Might be, yes.
Yeah. But what were her because I had this frustrating moment where I remember playing, was like, that's the quiz answer. I should remember this, because it like popped up the day after again, and then I completely forgot to write it down.
So if you talk to her after the exams are out, the exact thing that she says is that she did satisfactorily in chemistry and math, but poorly in other subjects. So overall, I guess sounds like she didn't do very well in exams.
Assuming they have more than 3 subjects. Yeah, it's not the best.
It sounds like she passed her science and math exams and then didn't really do well on the others, which part of me is surprised by. And then part of me also remembers she's a robot. She doesn't care if she does well in school. She doesn't need to graduate. No,
she's good. Also, probably helps keep the ruse up. Like, if she was doing too well, might be concerning. She didn't flunk, so she's not, the bottom of the class, but it could have gone either way. Staying kind of middle of the road helps keep this facade up of just being a normal human.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true. We'll go with that.
That works. I think that one makes the most sense. And Tom, if I may, just jumping off the pop quiz, I did lie to you. There was one comment I wanted to bring up before we start the show.
Yes, please, let's do it.
It came from 2 weeks ago, but I do think it's worth mentioning just because we, a couple weeks ago, had talked a lot about how, the Shinji stuff was so great, all of these extra moments with him that you get, all of those, the storylines that you can do. And then also the study session stuff, feeling so great, but optional. Shade was saying they are optional because they're new for Reload. In the original, most of the morning for Shinji you would get would be from talking to the various team members at night. So that affects that. And then they also said, which I kind of agree with, they're like, the quality of these new scenes is one of the reasons I am still so confident in P6, despite most of the leadership moving on to Metaphor. And it's like, they're doing real good work, so I'm not concerned, but
again, we always have to remember that the original of this game was made in a very different time for a much simpler platform, mobile for its re-release, right? Its scope was naturally smaller, and that is not a failing of the game. That is just when it came out. But man, I could not imagine this without those conversations. That's crazy. So yeah, kudos to the Reload team. Holy heck.
Yeah, thought those were worth mentioning. Definitely.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you.
Interesting to know. But yeah, let's get to the week.
So when we ended last week, the last day was the day that we discovered what our exam results are, and now we're going into pretty quickly. I think this week begins on the 20th with a scene with Fuuka in Fuuka's class, which we have not been in a while. And it's Fuuka and Natsuki, her friend, who was the bully originally, who then became her close friend, talking about, Fuuka says that she's sad about Shinji, and that she basically is reckoning with the fact that, Shinji's not there anymore, and she says something along the lines of how she took it for granted that everyone would always be around, but now, she realizes that's not the case, and that this is actually making her want to repair her relationship with her parents, because she'd realized, they're, not everyone's going to be around forever. And then Natsuki goes, hey, a about that. And they go up onto the rooftop to chat, and basically Natsuki says that she's transferring. She's transferring schools. I think the main reason, if I remember correctly, is that her dad is sick, so they need to move while he recovers. She says that Fuuka is the only person that would even care that she's moving, which is also very sad because she was sort of presented as the mean girl, popular girl at the beginning of this game, and it's kind of clear that's not fully fair or true, right? It's an incomplete picture of the situation. And she says she wants to also work out her problems with her parents, and that you don't get many second chances in life. And Fuuka's really, really sad about all of this, right? What goes on here? This is a pretty long scene.
It's surprisingly. Yeah.
Like, this was funny too because it doesn't let you save in between. So I did this 2 weeks ago, which is why I'm struggling.
No, you're good. So basically where this one continues to pick up, to your point, it is very much the idea being presented here is, of course, the overall theme of don't take time for granted. You never know how long you have with people. Fuuka kind of realizing how she's grown, and her friend telling her about how she's noticed how she's grown as well. I think one of the biggest things that as the conversation goes on is that Fuuka, this is her self-actualization. So she's realizing that she used to essentially people please to fit in. Like that was, she would just do whatever she could to make other people around her happy rather than worrying about what she wanted. And she realizes that's not the way to live anymore. And then they kind of, exchange numbers and want to stay in touch and all that.
And there's also a really cute theme of she's worried that people will leave her or that and she's losing these connections. But then she realizes very explicitly that her persona is all about connecting people, which is very sweet, right? She can reach out and bring people together. And then her persona evolves. And so we get the same scene that Ken and Akihiko already got, but this time with a little less death involved.
Yes.
And, still a similar-ish amount, but slightly less.
It's a more hopeful conversation, I think.
Overall. I would agree. Those two were like stealing their resolve.
Yes.
This is her learning something about herself through the non-death loss of a friend leaving, and her realizing, you know what, I can live for myself. I don't always have to live for other people, and I can also still stay connected to these people because that's what I do, is bring people together. And she does seem like, something I really like about this is she really does seem like she changes from this point forward, right? Her personality-wise, she opens up, and you can even talk to some people around the dorm at night, and I think Yukari is like, yeah, Fuuka seems a lot more open now, and I think that's something you can actually see, right? Is she does seem more confident in who she is now and what she's doing and why. And that's really cool that these evolutions are not just sort of symbolic. They're actually these characters growing as characters.
Yeah, there's definitely, her talking about all the people pleasing and stuff really rings true when you think about sort of the nervousness, I guess, with which she approaches things. Like, she clearly doesn't want to ruffle feathers, so she wants to make sure everyone else is happy or well taken care of, often to the detriment of herself. And I think you start to notice here, just in the way that she is talking as this week goes on, of, it's not that she's, there's a fine line. She's not discounting caring about other people, but she's not letting herself languish to make that happen, which is a very easy thing to do when you have that inclination. So it's nice to see that continue on here. To your point, it really fits in with the theme of her persona, who is now Juno. And yeah.
It's also nice that they don't wildly belabor this, and that Fuuka uses it as like a growing opportunity, because, and this is something that Junpei actually says if you just chat with him at some point during the week, they only knew each other for 6 months, really, right? Like maybe they knew each other through school stuff before that, or bullying before that, but they were only friends for like 5 or 6 months tops.
Yeah.
I think it might have even been less. It was like somewhere in the 4 to 6 month range, because the game starts in April, right?
Yeah.
And so you can make a close friend in that time. You can grow very close to somebody, but this I appreciate that this was almost like Fuuka needed this person started to become reliant on them, and then when they left, it didn't just like break her. She said, "Oh, I can grow from this," and I like that. I like that a lot.
And especially, the scene ends after her friend has walked away. The rest of the second year gang comes because they were looking for her and wanted to make sure she was okay. And I think it's a really nice sort of symbolism of, look at the friends that you are surrounded by. You are not alone, even if people come and go. There are people in your life that are worth, pushing forward for. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, everyone huddles around her. It's very nice.
Yeah.
And then we just have a normal free day, I think. So give me your day and your night.
I got Bebe to rank 10.
Whoa!
That sweet little boy is now my closest confidant. Got him to rank 10 during the day. I didn't even realize I was that close. It just kind of happened. I was like, well, I might as well finish this one up. So we did that. Maybe we'll talk about him one day. Maybe we won't. It's fine either way. I enjoy it. It's certainly not, I think, the most dramatic of them. But
sure,
he's a fun guy to talk to.
Bebe is one of the ones that feels slightly more natural to me in what I've seen so far.
Sure.
In that, like, it's similar-ish to to Kenji.
Mm-hmm.
To the, oh my god, why am I blanking? This game just left my brain. The track team guy.
Oh, Miyamoto.
Thank you, not Kenji. It's similar to Miyamoto of like, it feels a little more natural in that you're joining a club that this person is in. The first couple of interactions are within the club, and then you grow and become friends beyond that, and then you help them with a little thing. Whereas like Kenji was very much just sort of thrust upon you, and then you're best friends now.
Yeah.
And there's some like that and some that aren't. And so I like hearing that Bebe's is not bad, right? And I'm excited to see more of it.
It feels very much in the line of, this is a classmate that you grew a little bit closer to and you help them out with something. I will say the Kenji thing, when you do position it that way, though, it is really funny in the sense of, sometimes whoever's in your homeroom, you just become friends with some of them.
Oh, totally.
Just by
That's
proximity.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had plenty of high school friends that were I considered very close friends that because they were sitting next to me.
Yes, yeah, and as soon as you're not in the same class together, goodbye. I don't know you anymore.
Oh, that's sad.
It happens.
But then your persona evolves.
It does, and so it's like, it was worth it. So I hung out with Bebe, got him to rank 10, and then in the evening, I got Tanaka to rank 8.
Nice. Okay. Yeah. During the day, I wasted time with Chihiro. I'm pretty close with, I think she's at like 8, so I over the course of this week, wanted to try to button her up. So I spent some time with her just to hang out with her. And then in the evening, I gardened with Aigis and got that one up to rank 3 so that I upgraded her characteristic ability. So not just... So she's done or whatever.
Nice.
And now her physical skills are through the roof.
Yeah.
Or what have you.
She's still in my party without spoiling too much of talking later, perhaps on combat, and I am glad I've been sticking with her more than I did in my first run because she can be pretty powerful.
Cool.
Yeah.
And then also the shopping items arrived today. I think it's like instant curry and instant ramen, but that's, neither here nor there. Let's move on to the 21st, which is just a straight up free day, except something horrible happens. I wasn't going to go into Tartarus this week. But then the game was like, Elizabeth called and said, hey, you know that sweet little girl that you've been befriending and is running away from home at the park? She's lost in a hellscape. So Maiko wanders into Tartarus and you have to go save her.
Tartarus has been really mean with our friends because it's like the sweet old man and the tiny child. That's who Tartarus has gone after at this point. What the hell?
Suemitsu's just sitting there. Take him. Take him, Tartarus.
How dare you? How dare you? We have to... Tom, I can't express enough that if you... Honestly, saving him for later in the game is what I did last time, and it lines up really well. I don't want to spoil things, but having him as a confidant social link during the end of the game weirdly works. So
okay.
We'll get there. But yes, unfortunately, our dear, sweet child friend is trapped there.
Yeah, I like that they do this because it is, again, high stakes, low stakes.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
You're gonna go to Tartarus probably before the full moon. It's not like there's some super tight deadline on these beyond that. And the fact that it's a person you know makes it feel makes the whole process of people wandering into Tartarus or getting apathy syndrome feel more personal. And yeah, I don't know. It's not, but then at the same time, it's not so hard to get that you're really risking losing them if you don't want to. I don't know. It's a smart move to me. That's all.
I think it feels risky, but it really isn't when you think of it practically in the way this game is structured. Because yeah, to your point, unless you are, and granted, we've always said, however you play the game is the right way. There's no real wrong way to play the game. But unless you're playing the game wrong and haven't gone to Tartarus at all, like,
yeah,
you're gonna probably inevitably meet these people. Maybe you don't get all the way through though, because it is too punishing, or you're playing at a really hard level and you run out of time, or you're exasperated with it and you need the break. And there is the slight chance to miss them, but likely you are not going to miss it. But it creates this emotional stake to a thing that is otherwise the battle portion of the game. And I do think it's smart. I don't really see a downside, and especially knowing that the original P3 had more of these kind of risk reward mechanics that were maybe a little more punishing, of things like the exhaustion element and all that.
Yeah.
I can see how that would have made this even tougher, because maybe you do run out of time because you waited too long. So there is something nice to that I think adds impetus for what might otherwise feel like, well, time to go to Tartarus again. It's like, okay, here's a good reason to. Yeah.
Totally. So what did you do during the day and the night?
On the 21st, what did I do? I did want to just, coming from the conversation from the day before, we do get this sort of early day conversation where Fuuka mentions that she's glad she was welcome to the team.
Right.
And,
yes.
Just coming off of that from the day before is really nice.
And you can say something nice to her, like along the lines of like, I'm glad I met you. And it's like, oh, that's sweet.
Or you can be a rude person, I think, a little bit.
Why?
Yeah, I know.
Who are you people?
I got Yukari to rank 6. I'm not going to tell you what you did with your day. And then in the evening, I wasn't really sure. The evenings this week were a little bit tough for me because I've been sticking with my party, so I didn't feel like I needed to do a ton of the hangouts. But I did hang out with Akihiko and got him a new ability just because I relied on him a lot in my first run, and I know occasionally he can be really powerful if you build him up properly. So I got him a new ability, hung out, and finished cooking, I think, with him.
Cool.
Yeah.
I agree about evenings. So during the day, I got Yuko to 6. I think Yukari, Yukari and Fuuka, both of them, I am not ready for a level up with them. So I've sort of just been dipping into other people here and there. Because I figure I'll have an opportunity to like hang out with them and get some social points or something at some time.
For sure. I do have to ask, are you every day going to Mitsuru and checking if you can hang out with her? Is it just
No. The little dialogue bubble is gray. I'm not that much of an idiot.
Oh, so you noticed the dialogue bubble though, at least.
I had to, because I've been walking to the faculty room to do the thing with the helmet.
Oh, yes, of
course,
yeah.
I've been doing that every day, and she happens to be on the path, and if I say hi, can you blame me?
No,
she's a
of
friend.
course. You're just being a good pal, yeah. It's
Yeah.
nothing weird about that. You're
God.
fine. Mm-hmm.
Judgmental.
Don't ruin my cool. So what'd you do with your day?
So I did Yuko to rank 6, and then in the evening, very similar thing as you. I'm now done with Tanaka. I'm done with Mutatsu. I have gotten a lot of the people to their the third scene or whatever with the hangouts to get them their abilities. And I, in the next 2 days, do the last 2 URL DVD or like game computer things that I need to do. So yeah. I'm really running out of, like, I'm scraping the barrel on evenings in terms of things to do. Which is why I even ended up going to Tartarus this week, which I'll talk about later, because I just didn't have anything else to do, right? And I figured if I don't have anything else to do, I might as well just go in there and split some of Tartarus up or whatever.
Yeah, I think we'll talk about it more as we get through the game, because I think there will be interesting elements to discuss there. But I think even with the additions in Reload that are very helpful and good a lot of the time, man, are the evenings just not weighted the same as the day. The choices you need to make of who to hang out with in the day are so much, or just what to do in general, are so much tougher than what you have afforded to you at night.
Yes.
Yeah.
So in the evening, I did the image muscle training online, which is where you think really hard about training and it trains your muscles.
Yeah.
And that got max health up by 9.
You're just sitting at your desk flexing as hard as you can. Hold on. Oh, a muscle.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
So that's that. Next day, we have a class quiz question thing where they're talking about the origins of month names in English and how July is named after Julius Caesar, that sort of thing. And the question is about what god April is named after, which I did get correct off of intuition, which I'm glad about.
April is Caesar. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. No, that was it was Venus, which is Aphrodite, which is April. That's sort of.
Yes,
but then they're immediately like, but people also think maybe that's not why it's called April, and here's some other reasons why it could be called April instead.
Look, you learn a lot of things in these classes that are also like, maybe they're true, maybe they're not. We're all just trying to figure it out as we go.
Like all of Edogawa.
Yep. Yeah. Hey, it does teach you to question everything you learned, always be trying to seek more knowledge, understanding. Hey, yeah.
Guess that's true. Tell me about your day and your night.
I hung out with Yukari, got her to rank 7. Ooh. And then Mutatsu, my friend Mutatsu, I also got to rank 7 that night.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you have a little more evening stuff to do.
I do. I really pushed them back because I had the foresight knowledge of being able to, I knew it was good to prioritize the hangouts with the friends once those opened up. Right. With the group. So that's mostly where I did that. And also knowing I'd have the time for these guys at night, I was like, yeah, it's fine. We'll keep going. I'll get to them eventually.
That's fair. I did Chihiro to 9 today. Nice. Yeah. And then in the evening, I did the part-time master software to get the amount of money I make from part-time jobs up.
Thank goodness. I know you've been really languishing with those jobs. This should be something you do like week 2. It should be afforded to you so early on.
Yeah, it should. The funny thing is I actually am poor again.
Oh,
I went through and I bought a bunch of weapons and a bunch of equipment, and I just fully ran out of money before I realized it. And so I was like, oh, actually, maybe I'll work part-time in the evening if I go to the cafe on an urgent night.
You've maxed everyone out, so who you have in the evening, so you might as well. But yeah, I get it.
Yeah, I haven't. To be clear, I haven't done everybody's.
Sure, I meant like Mutatsu and Tanaka.
Oh yeah, Mutatsu and Tanaka. Yeah. Yes. So that was the 22nd. 23rd, we have a lecture from Mr. Ono, right, about Masamune and some stuff with the Sengoku period and about how great it is.
And I stayed awake.
Face.
No.
Oh yes, you get to choose. So you stayed awake. I think I did too because I just wanted to hear more of his lecture. I thought that would be fun.
That's fair. Yeah.
And then today, also speaking of Mr. Ono, was the final day I had to talk to him in the staff lounge. So I did get the helmet to complete that Elizabeth request finally.
Nice. Okay.
So that's fun.
Awesome.
I don't know if you've been keeping up with that.
I forgot about it for a few days this week, so I have to go back and finish it up, but I'll probably do that next week. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely didn't do it as quick as you could. You could do it a few days before this, I believe.
Yeah. Is it time limited? I forget.
Time in what sense?
Like it doesn't have a time, an end date goal for it, right?
I don't think so.
I
think it's basically just we've already got max rank academics, and so anyway.
Cool.
Yeah, so what did you do during your day and your night? Because this is just another free day.
It is.
Blowing right through them.
Yeah, I needed a couple more points, so I hung out with Yukari for points during the day, I believe. I say believe because I forgot what I wrote down, but I know I needed to do that at some point, so I think that was today.
Okay.
And then in the evening, I went to Tartarus. I think I got so consumed with my Tartarus run, I forgot to write down what I did during the day. Also because I split that Tartarus run up across 2 real-world days. So it was kind of a all-consuming thing. And then I got to the end of Tartarus and was like, oh, right, what did I do that day? Crap. And then wrote down that. So, yeah. Forgive me if I'm wrong, audience.
So today, we can talk about Tartarus because I go to Tartarus later this week, so we'll talk about it then.
Yeah.
I could have hung out with Fuuka, but she wasn't available for a level up. I could have hung out with Yukari, but she wasn't available for a level up. There were a couple other people that I couldn't do. Jonathon.
How is our boy doing?
I hung out with Suemitsu.
What rank? What rank you get this boy up to?
3.
Hell yeah.
We went and got ramen.
Yeah.
Not 2 specials, because he knows the secret menu.
Exactly. Tom, when I tell you this social link has twists to it, would that make you want to do it more?
I mean, okay. I was unfair to him at the start. I'm going to eat some crow here. I was unfair to him at the start. I was overly harsh. I am still not captivated by him as a character very much, but his scenes have been quite entertaining so far.
I don't think you were unfair because he's so caustic to you at the beginning.
Yes, and even in this one, slight spoilers for rank 3 of Suemitsu, he, makes you call him the gourmet king, and then is like, oh, yes, it's so great to hear you say it, and then, gets weird about, he's like, I ate some bites of this egg, you eat it now. It's very uncomfortable.
Oh, yeah, no, don't get me wrong. I don't like the guy. I just think it is a fascinating one to play through.
Yeah, it's odd so far, but I do want to see more of it. Good. I am committing myself to getting him to 10 before the end of this podcast.
Hell yeah.
And then in the evening, I watched a movie with Ken.
Nice.
And we talked about drinking booze together, and I think that was the 2nd level of that one for him. Okay,
cool. As you do with any child, just teach them the ways of alcohol. Yeah, it's all going great. First, we get him hooked on coffee. Now you're talking to him about booze. What is going on with Ken?
Hey, the coffee was not our fault.
True.
That was him.
He chose that on his own, and now he's a little wired up kid. Yeah.
You guys share that right now.
We do. We really do. Yeah.
Let's go to the 24th. This one is our next little... This might be the last little bit of story stuff we get this week. We get a scene with Yukari in the student council room for some reason. And Mitsuru shows up and says, oh, why are you here? And she's working on a report for the archery team. And Yukari is thinking a lot about what they are fighting for, and she asks Mitsuru, what are you fighting for? And Mitsuru says it's about atoning for the past, which obviously we know, either the Kirijo group causing these mistakes or her past mistakes with, the whole Shinji incident and the Ken's mother or whatever. She's trying to make up for past mistakes. And Yukari says that she doesn't really know if she has a reason for fighting anymore, and she wants to keep fighting, and maybe stopping the Dark Hour is a good enough reason, but she doesn't really know why she's in this game anymore.
Yeah,
it's kind of it.
It's an interesting one because we've been set up to have these revelation conversations, and then this isn't one. This is just this feels like the first half of one, and I do like it to some extent of, every conversation is not going to be suddenly resolved. So it is nice in that realistic sense. But yeah, it's very much clearly Yukari is a little bit more lost at this moment, which is understandable given all of the emotional, specific traumatic points that this whole ordeal has had for her.
Yeah, it's also just nice to see Yukari and Mitsuru have a conversation and not hate each other. Which is not a thing that we've seen a ton of. I like them sprinkling in these little things in between these, because this would just be a big old week of free time, right? And so to just boop, here's a little bit of story, here's a little bit of interaction between these characters. It's nice. It doesn't need to be anything big every single time.
No, and totally to your point too, we have sort of seen them on the mend since summer vacation, but we haven't gotten a lot about the two of them together because so much else has been going on. So it's nice to revisit that idea of, oh yeah, they are working through maybe the frustrations that they had with each other previously and some of those pain points. It's nice to see.
Yeah, exactly. But then we just get a normal day. So what did you do during this normal day?
Hung out with Yukari and got her to rank 8.
Whoa, blowing through it.
And then Tanaka to rank 9.
Wow, cool.
Yeah.
Just flying through
I
those
need
ranks.
my platinum, man. I need it. I really love this game. I don't want to jump into a third playthrough immediately, so I'm trying to see if I can do this in this run.
I maxed out Chihiro.
Nice.
And something I forgot to say yesterday, or the day before, when I got her to 9, is I shot her down.
Okay, I was wondering if we were going for the all-girlfriends route or not. Good to know. Okay.
No, I shot her down. We can talk about her rank another time, but I shot her down in a non-spoilery way because she gets real intense real quick. Gets just really uncomfortable with how attached she gets to you very fast in rank 8 and 9. Just it's real. It's a lot. She becomes a lot very quickly.
You're bonded forever. Yeah.
Yeah, it feels kind of like that. And then also similarly, you shoot her down and she almost immediately is just over it and there's no ill will. Like sometimes I feel like in P5 you would shoot one of the people down and then they would sort of be visibly bummed out.
Yeah.
She was like a little bit bummed out and then just bounced right back and was happy.
Love is fickle. What can you do? It happens sometimes.
I guess so. So, friends with Chihiro to the max. And then in the evening I went back and I watched more boxing with Akihiko, which is also, I believe, the second rank of that for him.
Okay. Cool.
Yep. So there's I have a couple little lingering ones here and there, but
you're getting there.
Most of them are taken care of. The 25th, it's a Sunday, which means we get shopping and we do get a little bit of Halloween stuff.
Yes. Yeah, which is cute.
So you can go to the shopping channel and you can buy I think it's a pumpkin mask. It's like a Halloween mask.
Believe so, yeah.
And then candy, and you get 50 pieces of Halloween candy, which I'm excited to see those all heal 5 health or whatever.
I was going to say so many levels for my Pokemon. It's great.
Yeah.
It is, yeah, it's the little bit of it that you get, but it's cute to have. Did you have enough money since you've been...
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it was expensive. It was like 25 grand or something.
Yeah, that's why I was wondering. I remember spending a lot, so I was like, could you afford it?
Yes, no, I did afford it, but
Okay.
it was a lot. And then today is also Taiyaki Day, so you can put your Taiyaki in the fridge. But then what did you do just during the day?
I did what I've been doing on these Sundays pretty often, so I hung out with Kamiki, got him to rank 7.
Yep.
And then in the evening, I walked Koromaru, and we saw Hayase on the walk.
We did the same day.
Yay! Nice.
Yeah, so I got Kamiki to 5. I almost didn't do Kamiki because I could have hung out with Yukari. I could have just done... She sent me a text.
Oh,
it was
yeah.
just like, hey, do you want to hang out? And I did need her points. But Kamiki is... I don't know. I imagine I have time for Kamiki, but he's just seems... I want to know more about his story. I want to be spending time with him more, so...
He is
That was more
also
interesting to me.
once a week. Like, you got this one shot a week, so I very much... With those, I'm like, okay, that's just what I'm going to be doing until I'm done with them.
That's fair. And then, yeah, Koromaru running into Hayase, who I still have not hung out with very much. I think I'm still only rank 2 with him or something.
Same. I think I'm 2 also, yeah.
And, but that's nice. It's nice that... The one thing I don't like about these Koromaru walks is that if you run into somebody you've already maxed out, that's such a bummer.
Yeah.
And also, these Koromaru walks, the thing I do like about them, it's so impressive how many voiced scenes there are in this game.
Right? Yeah.
Especially, spoilers for that discussion, coming off of Metaphor. To be clear, not a dig at Metaphor, but the difference between how many of these scenes are voiced in Reload and how many are done in Metaphor, the brand new game from them, is pretty stark. Yeah. Right? It is a pretty stark contrast to, you wouldn't expect a random walk with Koromaru to have voices from Hayase and Koromaru, and it does. It is fully voiced, and that rules. That makes a big difference to me.
Yeah. No, it totally does. I would say this is very much a huge assumption, but I appreciate it so much that they're in here. I do wonder, especially not knowing the original game, how much voice acting there was, certainly because it was, a PS2 game originally and all that. But obviously there are new scenes in this game, but so much of the script is locked kind of from the jump of this game.
Sure.
Where they probably could afford to do VO much earlier in the process and know that it wasn't going to fluctuate in the way that, a lot of games have to deal with fluctuations in development. A remake doesn't, because it's there for them. I wonder if that's the reason, because, to your point, I know we bring it up all the time. It is so impressive how much VO there is in this game in scenes you wouldn't expect. So,
yeah. That could definitely, I think that's, at the very least, it makes sense, right? That explanation. So let's jump to our last day, which is the 26th. There's a school question about the month without gods. October being the month without gods, except for one place in Japan called Izumo, because apparently all the gods go hang out there for October.
That sounds like a fun place to be for October, then.
There's gotta be an anime or a TV show or something built around that idea that all the gods just meeting up in October every year.
Which is like it's got to be a super long titled anime too, where it's like, I need help, but all the gods are on vacation in October, and it's just one of those crazy ones. Yeah. It's got to exist.
If that exists, please let me know.
Yeah.
Because I would love that. Sounds like a great concept. That's some good groundwork right there.
If not, TM. I already sent the copyright notice to my house in the past for this, so we're good. You can't steal that idea.
There's a conversation I want to highlight that you can have with pubescent boy in your classroom today. I don't know if you talked to him.
I did. It's just, whenever you have to say his name, it brings a little ping to me.
Yeah, well, so does this conversation.
Mm-hmm.
He says, I cannot believe that this is in this game. I mean, I can, but you talk to this dude, and he says that it's like almost hard to comprehend. I'm reading my notes just to make sure I get it right, because it is unthinkable. He says that he went to the middle school to check out the girls that were going to become first years next year to see if they were hot, but then he got chased away by the cops because he was doing that thing. And then it's him in class complaining about getting chased away by the cops.
I feel like I knew a kid like this in high school. And it was like the kid you tried to avoid having conversations with all the time. But you would turn around and there he would be, and he'd want to have that conversation with you. And you're like, why? Why do we need to be talking about this? Just get away from me.
Deeply uncomfortable. Again, to be clear, this is not a complaint about the game. Like, I don't think it's objectionable that the game did this. I think it's wild that they made the choice to make this character so gross.
I mean, yeah, this guy is just, every time you talk to him, it is just an uncomfortable conversation. I guess that's sort of the point of him.
Yeah.
But
it's a wild choice. It's just a wild choice.
Especially because he's like the first NPC you can talk to. If you turn around, he's just there. And it's always uncomfortable. Never says a thing I want to hear.
But going to the middle school to check out the chicks who are coming into high school is next level gross.
Oh, no, absolutely. But again, I sadly feel like I remember a kid in high school like that.
Oh, man.
Yeah, and that's what like makes it feel even more uncomfortable. Is like, they're probably, someone wrote that from experience of like, there was this kid I hated. And he did the grossest stuff.
Oh, jeez.
It was a real weird creep. Yeah.
I read that. I couldn't not bring it up. It was so wild.
It's just too, that guy is too much. Yeah. It's just,
What did you do during your day and your night?
I shut the game off, deleted it, and threw a copy of it out the window. And then to get rid of that funk, I hung out with Yukari, got her to rank 9,
Wow.
and we are in love.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you.
Wedding bells.
Yes, it was wonderful. It was great to be romancing this fake video game character while my fiance is sitting on the couch with me. But yeah, we got to rank 9. No spoilers of the whole conversations and all that sort of stuff, but took the romance route with her, as I had mentioned from the week before, of just I want to see where their relationship ends up as the game goes forward. So yeah.
Yeah, it does. I don't know what the quote unquote canonical answer is, but it does feel like the one that is sort of most, I don't know what the right word is, encouraged or something.
That's why I was curious, because I didn't for my first route, because it does feel like the game naturally wants you to go down this route. I especially always go back to the summer event when you guys hug and have that moment and it feels a little awkward. It feels very teen romancy there. So I was curious to see how this goes. And it's a very cute scene. It's played really well, but yeah.
Cool.
We'll talk more about that stuff as we get there.
Well, congrats on the first of your many girlfriends.
Nope, I'm doing the single run. Not getting in trouble on a Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
But I did that during the day, and the evening I read with Junpei because he was able to get a new ability.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. This is also the day where Junpei, you can check your taiyaki, and Junpei has eaten your taiyaki and given you, I think it's a doctor in a jelly or something.
Yes.
But he also is the only one who wrote like a 4-page letter to you apologizing pretty much.
Sounds like Junpei at this point in the game.
Yeah. Hard to be mad at him.
Yeah.
During the day, I maxed Otagiri out.
Nice.
So now, surely that I have maxed out both of the student council people, Mitsuru will be ready to talk to me, right?
That makes sense.
Because she's not as busy with student council.
That logic makes sense. We'll have to find out.
That's not actually why I specifically did them, but it did line up nicely to finish them off. And Otagiri's ends on a pretty decent spot. His I found kind of odd at the start, but I think does get a lot better as you go.
Yeah, we can talk about that one in the coming weeks.
Yeah. And during the evening, I went to Tartarus.
Nice.
So let's talk briefly about Tartarus. It's the same area, obviously. Yes. You have the second section of this area. Does anything jump out at you from this section? It's kind of nothing really new.
No.
You get a chance. I got to do the big hand chase
for
the first time. That was not scripted, and it was dumb.
I lost this one. I didn't.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
And I felt very unearned in that loss, and probably would have felt very unearned in the victory, and I don't know, it's just dumb.
Yeah, pretty much. No, I think what's interesting for me at this point in Tartarus, I think it's less true at the beginning because every battle makes a difference, but I've really gotten now to the point where I really am not wasting time on a lot of battles.
Sure.
Because the amount of XP you get from some of these fights is so insignificant.
Yeah.
And yet it accumulates over time, of course, probably missing out on maybe a level here or there. But really, if I were to spend, like I did in my first run, clearing out every guy as I got to the end, only to realize they're back behind me again if I want to go, isn't the grind I'm in the mood for right now. And so as I've been getting to, boss floors and monad doors, I'll always do all of them, and that's worth it. If there's a special hand, a small one, I'll go after them because they're a lot of money and XP. And then if there's a really, really tough guy, if it's the staticky kind of red dot on the map, I'll go after him. But other than that, this was the moment in Tartarus where I was really like, I'm just going to keep going unless there's treasure I want. I'm just going to keep moving, which,
I do agree. I think this is one of my... I'm not annoyed with Tartarus to the point where, like, it feels too repetitious to me, right? Obviously, I miss palaces, but it's not as boring to me as Mementos got eventually, where it was, like, very much the same thing over and over and over and over again. This I'm still enjoying, but yes, the fact that you get so little XP from some of these simpler fights makes them really easy to not feel bad skipping, especially now that monad doors are a lot more common and those fights give you more XP, and you can be just getting it. You can catch people up with the clock mechanic thing. There's a lot of ways to make that stuff useful.
Yeah.
I agree. It just feels like you can skip a lot of those fights when you're getting, sometimes 20 times less experience than what you would get from a single boss fight or whatever.
No, yeah, it's wild. I would say what I did was the pattern that I adopted here that I'll probably adopt going forward is I would do maybe the first couple floors because it's new persona to get from the shadows. Yes. I want to collect some of those. I want to be able to keep leveling up because I am
shuffle times.
Exactly. But even with the shuffle times, then what I realized was I was going to stop doing those once I've collected a few of the persona, get all the Arcana cards I can, which is more likely to happen from the Monad doors and the boss gauntlet floors. And then toward the end, I started doing more levels because once I had my Arcana gauge maxed out, I was like, well, I might as well do these because I'm going to be able to get money and XP or money and an item. So then I started to pick up the pace a little bit more at the end. But the sort of center chunk of my Tartarus run was like, I'm just blitzing through this thing. And it is what it is. Yeah.
I don't disagree. And I'm not disappointed by that, but I don't disagree yet. The one funny thing that happened to me, I did the Monad Passage, because I've been doing these at the beginning of Tartarus runs rather than the end. And I almost thought I was going to have to leave Tartarus right away because I think it's the second fight in this Monad Passage is the couples with the heart heads, and there's 2 of them.
Yeah.
And they steal your SP.
Yes. Yeah.
And they drained literally I think I lost 600 SP. They hit every single member of my party to under 50 SP. And I was like, what is going on?
They're brutal. If you get caught on the wrong run. This is my second
fight.
Yeah.
And then in the third fight, Fuuka fully restored my SP and I kept going.
Amazing. Yeah. Man, sometimes those Fuuka bonuses really hit at the right time and it feels so good. But then when you get the one you don't need, it's like, God, why? No.
Yeah. So that happened. And then the other very sad thing about that Monad Passage, I don't know, did you do the Monad Passage on this run or the previous run?
I did. I didn't do the last one, the one at the end of this run yet. I was
okay,
yeah.
So same here.
Yeah.
You get a cosmetic item, and I think it's called like tricolor shorts or something, and then you open it up and it says, this would have looked good on Aragaki ... but he isn't here anymore. That's brutal.
That's rough.
Man, that hurts.
But again, I do like these things where it's like, hey, here's a thing that really would have worked for that party member, but that party member's not around. Yeah. It makes sense that the game doesn't suddenly remove all of the stuff for that party member. Yeah.
It also shows kind of how close they were playing it to the chest, that they let you get this thing.
Yeah.
Very, very close to him dying. You get a new cosmetic item for him. It's not even a weapon or something. It's just a cosmetic item for him that I'm never going to be able to see.
Yeah. It's a cool approach. I think cool in the sense of the way the game, I think, approaches a character death like this is pulled off very well in small and big ways. It's impressive. Yeah.
Yeah, I was really touched to see that there. Yeah. We're going to talk about some later, the Tartar stuff as we keep going through that, but we are doing the full moon next week.
Yeah.
And it's, we're this as the members of Seas have told me multiple times, Jonathan, next week will be the final boss fight of the game.
We might be over with the show soon. Yeah.
The show is going to be, I guess, only like a couple more weeks long, right?
That's how it works. We'll just have to play and see how it goes.
Obviously, I don't know what's coming. You out there in the world might, but Jonathon does, and I have not been told, hey, the show's about to be over, so I'm expecting to play a little bit more. We'll see what happens. I'm excited to see what happens. My theory, if you want my... I think I said something similar about this last week, but my theory is still, you're gonna actually kill the final shadow, and then the dark hour is not going to magically instantly disappear, and you're going to wonder what the deal is. And then the following week, we're going to be getting into some story stuff, talking about, hey, what's happening here as they try to figure out what's going on. That's my theory, is that they are actually going to successfully kill this shadow, and then the Aragaki theory will have been incorrect or deceptive in some way, because I'm still highly suspicious of that company, and we'll go from there.
You mean the Kirijo?
Kirijo, excuse me. Yeah, it's not Aragaki. Thank you. Yeah, the Kirijo groups, whatever. I do think there's going to be that. So like in my mind, there's two ways it could go, right? Which is you don't kill the shadow on this full moon. Something happens, Strega intervenes, and the shadow gets away, and we have to pursue it another day. Or you do kill it, and then you find out that you have been deceived or don't have the full picture in some way. My theory is that one, the latter, but I could also see it going the other way of like something happens and we don't actually kill the shadow, and then that's the MacGuffin we have to keep chasing. But my gut tells me that's not what's going to happen. But we'll see. We'll see next week.
Yeah, we'll find out. Well, Tom, there's one way I see it going, but we'll find out what that way is next week, because I know what happens. So
cheater.
Yep.
You cheater.
Yeah. We'll have a talk.
I think that's all we got this week, though. I do have a pop quiz.
Go for it.
The pop quiz this week, which is one that you can still find if you haven't seen it yet. A little bit of... I won't say exactly how, but I think you can figure it out. You are going after a Sengoku-era samurai helmet for Mr. Ono. So my question for you, who has Mr. Ono already given a Sengoku-era samurai helmet? Somebody else has already been gifted one of these. My question for you is who? Simple enough. You can leave your answer at dornology@gmail.com, youtube.com/dornology in the comments, patreon.com/takeyourtime. I'm at Tarmar Marks. He's at JM Dornbush on whatever social media platforms you choose to use. All of them are bad. Sorry, editorializing there. Anyway.
It's fine. It's fine. You're fine.
I don't use social media very much anymore, if that wasn't very clear. Anyway, but we do still love hearing from y'all. That is the thing I will say. I don't use social media very much anymore. I check in on places occasionally, and usually when I check in, I'll have a message from somebody who's a fan of the show, and that really warms my heart. It really makes me glad that y'all reach out, because I don't like a lot of things about social media, but knowing that we have human beings who will enjoy this show really, really does mean a lot. And that means a lot, whether you support us at patreon.com/takeyourtime or not. Obviously, you can go there to get episodes early, ad-free, bonus episodes like the Metaphor one that's coming very shortly, that sort of stuff. But we just love your support and love hearing from you regardless. Yeah. Jonathan, any other final closing thoughts before we go?
I will have a lot to say next week because we're doing a full moon. I'm excited. I think that's,
I will say this feels a little bit like the calm before the storm.
Sure.
Regardless of what happens, I think my vibe for sure is that this game is about to change. And I don't mean like the school blows up and everything is different now. I just mean like this game it feels like the pace is about to change. The urgency is about to change. Maybe not right away, but I can't imagine that. I don't know. It feels like stuff's about to happen. That's all. That. And I'm excited for it.
I don't know what your hour count is at this point, but we are
high-ish.
we've played a fair good chunk of the game, yes. And I would say the Aragaki stuff has probably been the most dramatic, but it hasn't really been the core focus of the game since the jump. So presumably there is more to come in that regard. So I get where you're coming from.
Presumably there's more to come, he says with the
spoilers. There is more of the game that we are about to play. There will be
Takes
days.
Notes.
Yeah. Oh boy, he was right. He gave it all away last week. He said there was more game. We played a week of the game. Wow. We'll see where it goes from here. I'm excited to talk about things. I have a few friends who recently beat the game, so I'm sort of also, mentally been jumping back and forth and like, oh God, don't say things. But yeah, looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm excited too. Until then, thank you very much for listening, and we'll see you later.